I'm Katy Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. Hello, Simplifiers. We have a guest today on the show. You may have heard of her. Her name is Stephanie Seferian. She is a teacher turned podcast host of the Sustainable Minimalist, and she's an author, a distance runner, and a lover of fiction books. Love that. And also a beekeeper. Well, it's really your husband. She just eats the honey, but there's so much to go into there. I can't wait. She's also passionate, like me, about helping women and families simplify their homes in a way that's good for the planet too. So I'm excited to have her on. She talks about something I think is so important, which is the connection between why we overbuy and how we can break that cycle for good. I think you're going to walk away from this conversation seeing your stuff a little bit differently and perhaps your shopping habits too. So let's get into it. Stephanie, welcome to the Maximized Minimalist.
Hi, Katy. Thanks so much for having me.
So tell me what sparked this journey for you. Was it a specific moment where you started connecting the dots? I know I was just on your show and you mentioned, I think like a lot of people, we get started with the decluttering piece and then we're like, oh, there's also, it's a little bit deeper. There's more to this. It's like decluttering is like the tip of the iceberg. So was there a moment for you?
Yes, there was a moment, and it did start with the just bone deep desire to declutter. My husband and I, we were living in an 850 square foot apartment in Boston. We had just had a baby. It was my first baby. I now have 2 children, but the first baby, I was a new mother. I had no idea, what I was doing in anything, but especially in being a mother. And with the baby, which was a big transition, but with the baby came all the baby stuff. This baby had like every toy imaginable. She's an infant. She doesn't play with toys, but so much loving family and friends, gifting. This baby had a wardrobe that would, any fashionista would want. She had so many frilly infant dresses that she never wore. Just so much stuff came into our tiny apartment. And, as a new mother, I'm sure Katy, there was no free time to do anything. But the little slivers of time that I had was spent finding places to store her stuff, washing her stuff, maintaining her stuff, putting away her stuff, cleaning her stuff. And I just had a moment where I started putting it all in a pile on the floor. I was like, she's never worn this. She's never played with this. She hates this. This thing makes a weird noise. And I just put it all in a pile. And that pile of infant gear, toys, and clothes was pretty massive for, again, a 4-month-old. And so I thought to myself, we don't need this stuff. She doesn't use this stuff. It's all a complete and utter waste. It's just a waste. It's a waste of people's money. It's a waste of resources. And it's a waste of my time, effort, and energy. So that was the moment when I thought to myself, I'm going to stop trying to tidy and stop trying to organize. And I'm going to start decluttering. That decluttering journey has led me on podcasting and writing journey. I'm no longer really a declutterer. I consider myself a conscious consumer. Yeah. My journey has led me to believe that decluttering is really a symptom, an action to alleviate the root problem, which is our preponderance towards buying stuff that we don't need and shouldn't have bought in the first place.
So with your show and even your book and a lot of your content, I love how you bring in like our earth and planet, because I feel like that is definitely under discussed on a lot of levels. I'm curious because I hear, and I certainly felt this too. So I can imagine you sitting in the room, a big old pile of like the adorable clothes. You have this aha moment, but also I feel like this is where a lot of people get tripped up. Like they see the guilt, like they feel the guilt, like, oh, but this came from my Aunt Susan, and this came from, the loving grandparents, and this cost, this is really expensive. She never wore it, but it's expensive. And also the guilt of the like donation aspect. I think a lot of us have read the articles like X amount of clothing sent to Goodwill ends up in this desert in South America. And it's quite frankly appalling. So I feel like that guilt piece, whether it's who gave it or the money or where it's going to end up, holds a lot of women back from letting go. So my question for you is, how did you come to terms with that? Obviously, I know the accumulation piece and moving forward shopping is a big part of it, but how do you reckon with that in the moment?
So you mentioned two sources of guilt there. One is the guilt of getting rid of something that somebody who loved you bought, and that's one. And then the other is the environmental guilt. So I'll separate them. The former of dealing with guilt because you're trashing or donating something that dealing with the guilt of, getting rid of something that somebody gave you. I would say, number one, when somebody gives you a gift, they don't want you to keep it until your dying day. They don't want it to be a burden on you. They don't want their gift to detract from your life. And so once it's yours, it's yours. I have since put a lot of barriers in place with my parents, my in-laws, about gifting what we need as opposed to what just looks cute in the store. And we can talk more about that if you want. But with regard to the environmental guilt, yeah, looming over that pile of stuff that I could probably give to a charity shop or I could, sell on Facebook Marketplace might extend the life of these items. And certainly we should all be trying to extend the life of our items whenever possible instead of sending them straight to the landfill. The reality is it's all going to head to a landfill, very likely, very soon. Recycling rates are dismal. This stuff is going to sit in a pile in the ground. And so for me, instead of ruminating over that fact, the best action is to let that guilt and that feeling looming over this pile, let those feelings inform my future purchasing decision. So stop buying junk I don't need as a primary means of not having to feel that debilitating guilt later.
I think too, because I hear the reality is it is faster and easier for a lot of us to drop things off at like a bigger donation center. Let's just say Goodwill. And I don't want to make them sound like the bad guy. But then again, we read these articles and we go, oh, well, I don't want to send my stuff there. The reality is because of how we are wired as humans biologically, we all want to see our stuff go to a good home. So then if that's going to hold you back, then the next solution would be, okay, let's use our Facebook Marketplace. Let's find a mom's group. Let's find a church, a donation center, like a smaller charity in town, schools. But then it's like you have 18 piles of things going to different areas. And then that stops people too. And I think the reality too, if we really zoom out and look at this from a 30,000 foot view perspective, is that Goodwill, because it's easy for most people to get to, and because of our consumption problem as a country, and depending on where you are in the world, and the amount of fast fashion, right? Most of the stuff they get is clothing. They simply can't keep up with our consumeristic tendencies. So I think a lot of people tend to be like, well, they're the bad guy because they can't, it gets shipped off to this desert in South America. But I think really it's like, well, let's give them grace. Again, I don't have a relationship with Goodwill, but I think like we need to all individually work on how we're accumulating things. And you mentioned talking to your family and kind of setting boundaries. I'm curious because that can go a lot of different directions. A lot of people give for love, especially grandmas, grandpas, in-laws, maybe people who don't live near the kids. So that's their way they express love. And I totally didn't want to squash that from my own family members who don't live nearby. So I'm curious their response and what that looks like as your kiddos got older and maybe any flack you got or flack you didn't get from your family.
Yeah. So I'll say my daughters on both sides of grandparents, I wouldn't say either side are over gifters by any means. Like nobody would go to the store and just pick something up and give it because it looks cute. That's just not in our family culture. But I recognize that in a lot of families, that is the culture. So I guess I would say that I say that to say that I'm starting at maybe at perhaps a different place from some people. But, the first Christmas, the first birthday, I said, don't get this, don't get that. And the reaction was, oh, you don't want me to show my love through gifts to my grandchildren? Like, it was like, that doesn't make any sense. Because for a lot of people, it doesn't make sense. We are told to show our love through the giving of material things. And so I can understand that confusion on their part. But after a year or two of saying, okay, this is the list, this is the stuff my daughter needs and wants, and let's keep it real little. Let's just do a handful, 3 or 4 gifts as opposed to 25. The benefits for the grandparents really started to become manifest. It was not having to go to the store, feeling overwhelmed, trying to figure out what the gift is. Because we just told you, it's not spending thousands of dollars on things that are not going to be used and loved. Every gift is a high interest gift, right? A gift with a higher probability that's going to be loved on. And so I would say to anybody listening who's struggling with establishing gifting boundaries with loved ones, I would say, number one, don't expect things to change overnight. It might take a couple years. It took about 2 or 3 years in my life, but also it can happen. It can happen in the most gifting of gifting families. As long as you're consistent, provide a list a couple months in advance, because my grandmother, she buys Christmas gifts in June. So maybe not that far, but be prepared, have a list, and just remind people that the goal is time spent together. The goal is, fond memories. The goal is not dozens of presents under the tree, because the presents become clutter, but the presents with the CE at the end create lasting memories.
So your podcast is called Sustainable Minimalist. And I'm curious, again, from a declutter perspective, because that's just the reality we're going to continue to face as we get older, our interests change, our families evolve. Things that weren't clutter 6 months ago become clutter today. So to a certain extent, there will be things we need to move out on a continuous basis when they stop serving us. So what does that look like for you? Does it look like certain charities in your local area? Are you fine with Goodwill? And how do you make that align with your values?
Yeah, so I try to keep items within my community as much as possible. My town has it's not a buy nothing group, but we call it a curb alert group. It's run on Facebook. You have something to give away. You put it literally on the curb. You take a picture of it. You say what it is. You write your address, and somebody comes and picks it up. I have had so much success with this on both ends, on the decluttering side, but also on the acquiring things that I need without buying new side. Children's clothes. I have a 12-year-old now, so she's starting to care more. But for 11 years, she wore hand-me-down clothes from our community, and she did so happily. My younger daughter, she wanted a balance beam because she's all of a sudden really into gymnastics. I'm not buying a $200 balance beam off Amazon. I'm writing in the curb alert group, does anybody have a balance beam? And wouldn't you know, the next day I had a balance beam. So that's what I use. Number one, I believe keeping resources within a community as opposed to shipping them all around the world is way easier and way more environmentally friendly. But that's not to say that, I haven't had to go use a Goodwill or, ship. I think one time I had to ship a pair of ice skates, children's ice skates to, I don't know, somewhere. But I do try to keep items in use as opposed to sending them to the landfill. And again, that's not to say that I haven't had the feelings of overwhelm in which I have trash bags of stuff and I just hate them so much and I want to shove them in the bin. I have that feeling too. I am human. I try and use that feeling of overwhelm as a moment of reflection, okay, if I've gotten to that point, we got to take a step back. We got to take a breath. We got to chill, because that's my barometer for knowing that I've reached a new level of stress and overwhelm, and I'm not going to be making any good decisions at that point in any aspect of life, not just in decluttering.
One thing I wrote down, I love what you said, is extend the life of the item. And I think not only we can do that in our own homes, and I think buying versatile things that can grow with us and our kids, but also on the flip side of that, like when we are using communities like our own nearby, our local communities, and using things like Buy Nothing and the Curb Alert, which I love that name, and it's very fun to me, Curb Alert, then we are extending the life of an item. Yet so many of us have been trained to just be like, oh, well, I'll hop on Amazon and get it without second thinking. And maybe we can spend the $200 and maybe it is convenient to do those things. But I think we need to realize there's another way. And if I can extend the life of an item and not spend my money, $200 to bring something in new, I think it's such a service to the item that's been already purchased. And it's like this downward effect that now it's blessing me and my family for $0 or less dollars. And that hopefully someone will extend the life of it beyond our family when we're ready to let it go. So it almost like the way you said it just to me made it seem like these things are really like coming to life in a way. It's like Toy Story or something, like, oh, that scene where Woody gets left behind and it's so heartbreaking. And we're like, oh my gosh, like this, it kind of made it seem more real instead of just like, it's just stuff or, so I love that part of it. So I want to flip to the other side of this, which is, stuff coming in because we can't out organize a belief system. And you talk a lot about overconsumption, has its own version of that. So what are some realistic ways a busy family can start acknowledging or shifting how they're buying without it feeling restrictive, which I feel like it often can. Like it's almost like the pendulum swings so far the other way that it's like, well, I can't buy this or I shouldn't want this. Where does one start?
Well, I guess it would start by just assessing whether you consider your consumption a problem. I mean, I'm assuming, Katy, that people wouldn't be listening to your show unless they had, a problem with stuff. Maybe that's a clutter problem. Maybe that's financial issues. If you have listeners in which their buying habits is not detracting from their quality of life, then, I mean, you could theoretically keep on going with what you're doing. But for a lot of us, mindlessly buying the stuff that's marketed to us to fix problems that may very likely not even exist in the first place, fabricated problems, that's creating an excessive mental load for a lot of us, primarily women. It's creating financial issues. It's creating environmental issues, which is something that I talk a lot about on my show. Our responsibility, frankly, to be more intentional with the stuff that we choose to purchase, the stuff that has been manufactured for us to purchase. And so step one would be assessing whether you think your buying habits are a problem. And then step two is to put up some barriers. You mentioned taking a picture. Maybe it's taking your credit card information out off of Amazon so that it's not as easy as just clicking buy now and getting stuff on your doorstep in 2 days or less. Maybe it's unsubscribing from marketing emails. Maybe it's deleting Instagram off your phone. Whenever Instagram gets too overwhelming for me and I just feel too stimulated, delete that app. Yeah. I always put it back on, but it's like a pause. It's a break.
Yes.
I mean, our cell phones are just for many of us, in our hands 24/7, and they are just ads everywhere.
They're mini slot machines.
Yes.
We have like a casino in our back pocket and it's dinging and it's like, ooh, there's fun music and there's bright lights. Truly, I mean, this was designed to get us addicted to begin with. And then all the apps hopped on board. When I read years ago in the book, and the title is escaping me, that any app, any game, anything that goes on a device, an iPad, phone, what have you, is all designed with addiction in mind. And I shouldn't say all. I mean, that's what they said in the book. I'm sure there are some really great companies who don't do that. But it really changed how I viewed it. I'm like, oh, I'm just a pawn in the chess game. Like this isn't for my own good. It feels more malicious. It made me go, oh my gosh, I need to examine this and also understand that they build these off of our vulnerabilities as humans. They have teams of people who know how the brain operates. And so I think too, it's important to understand like, that's why it's hard to put our phone down, to put our phone on night, to like take a break from these apps and to not scroll. It's because they're designed to reward our brain to like keep doing it. Right. So I love how you talk about that. It's definitely a piece to the puzzle.
Yeah. And I'll take that a step further and say 1 in 3 things that you come across on your newsfeed on Meta platforms is an ad. And so the device is addicting.
Yes.
The platform Meta is addicting. And then the ads are using powerful targeted technology so that you're seeing the ads that, years and years of data have informed the company that you are more likely to click on. So it's like a triple whammy at the end of the day. And that's why I say, if buying is a habit is a problem and it's a habit for you, then maybe step 1 is to just like delete the app or put down the phone, decrease the quantity of opportunities that you're being exposed to buy.
I'll never forget, after I became a mother, my algorithm massively changed. And I started getting all the toy ads and like, this toy is going to make your baby learn faster, read faster. It was all kind of skewed to like help your kid. And so of course, as mothers and parents were like, well, sure, like I want the best for my kid. So again, it's targeted to my vulnerabilities. I want to feel like a good mom. I don't want my kid to fall behind. Oh my gosh, that part of it. It's like, yes, there's a benefit, but it's like, oh, if I don't get this, my kid's going to be behind. I still see ads I'm like, no, this isn't actually true. So I had to be like, okay, through the means of decluttering, a lot of the stuff I was getting rid of were like the bulky, annoying music making plastic stuff. And I'm like, why did I buy this? Again, I think it's so important we can learn from our clutter and go, oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z. And I can still be a great mom and my kid can still be incredibly smart and successful, even without all the things that I'm told my kid needs. And speaking to that, I know I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole, but we are pushed so much to like advance our kids so much faster. Even like school curriculum. I don't know if you heard this. I was talking to a friend the other day, like school curriculum throughout the years has changed so much, like pushing our kids to read faster, hit this milestone faster, do all X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I just want my kids to like run outside. Obviously they still go to school, but I think it's no coincidence, let me put it this way, that all of these things are kind of working together hand in hand. And it does influence us. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's keeping up with the Joneses at age 6, right?
Yes.
And I love what you said there about like learning from your clutter or letting your clutter learn about yourself through your clutter. We would all be better served to ask ourselves after buying the latest educational toy, did it live up to its promises? Is my child ahead in reading? Or did that lipstick I bought for me make me look Jennifer Lopez, like, I don't even know. I don't know why Jennifer Lopez came to my mind.
She is gorgeous. So yeah, I get it.
Like, did this thing that promised to solve X, Y, and Z problem or get my child ahead or whatever the promise was, did it live up to its promise? And if the answer is yes, then, oh my gosh, share the product. But 99 times out of 100, it's all hollow. It's hollow promises at the end of the day.
So I just got my mail right before you hopped in to record with me. And I got some, I would say this is junk mail. I got a little insert catalog with one of my favorite workout brands. It's called Beyond Yoga. So, look at this woman on the front cover, probably 20, living her best life in a 2-piece on the beach. And I'm like, ooh, I want to feel that way too. But I wanted to talk about this because I think it's so important. Speaking to understand the root cause of shopping. And I think a lot of us recognize we might consume or buy more when we're stressed or bored. One big thing for me, especially related to motherhood, and I would even say just the state of the world and the input we're receiving, which is showcasing a lot of negative aspects of the state of the world, is lack of control. And when we buy something, it gives us this false sense of security of like, ooh, well, I'm in control. And I over the last couple of years my weight has fluctuated. And I would say other than my pregnancies, I was that girl who was like the same weight that I'd been since high school. And I really didn't realize how much of an impact the weight gain had on how I was feeling in my body until I started noticing my consumption patterns changing. So I wanted to share this with you and just be really honest. When I feel out of control with my weight, and now I'm recognizing it's hormone related and getting older, all the joys, I tend to not want to shop for clothes because no one wants to try on clothes when they don't feel great. At least I don't. And so my consumption went from less clothing to more like makeup and hair because I felt like, well, this is what I can control right now. And so it was really important. And luckily, because of all the inner work I've done and reflection and awareness I have around this topic, I was able to recognize quickly, like, oh, like I bought a lipstick. And now today I'm looking at this new lotion, face lotion and eye cream. I thought, that's interesting. And I mean, it didn't take long for me to be like, oh, I feel sad in my body. And this is also a pleasant distraction. And I can still buy something and and kind of use it as a way to move the needle forward and make all the excuses I want. So I'm just curious. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, but I'll give you one other example, which kind of doesn't make sense. After a while, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to continue to get more makeup. I have what I need. I'm heading back into contentment, Katy. And even though I was overweight, when I look at ads like this, Beyond Yoga ads, I was like, I want to feel fit and strong. And so even though I have workout clothes, my brain was like, well, let's buy some new ones and then you'll feel that way. So this is why it's so important to just like pause. Practice the pause. I know we've talked about this. I talk about that in the shopping chapter in my book. In that pause, in that margin, we have this opportunity to get to the root of it and just be honest with ourselves. So all that to say, I know that was a long story, and I hope that helps some listeners because like, I think people assume you and me like don't struggle or don't catch ourselves and like it's just unicorns and rainbows on the other side, but it's a life skill and it's a process. So all that to say, have you experienced anything like this, and if so, like what did you do to move past it?
So yes, I think that first of all, thank you for sharing your story. That's really powerful, and I know it's going to help a lot of listeners. I will say yes, I do feel like this often, and I think everybody does. It's human to feel less than. Mm-hmm. And I would say that the ad you just showed of that, 5'10" perfect body model, she's wearing that and she's flaunting on the beach in her perfect body and her perfect outfit. Like that was expertly made by marketing professionals to make us feel less than, because it has been proven through psychology that when women feel less than, we are more likely to buy that beautiful pink outfit. We're never going to be, I'm 5'2". I'm never going to be 5'10". Even if I spend $100 and whatever dollars on that outfit, I'm still not going to look like that professional model. But if we don't pause and realize that, it can be very unintentional, habitual to just go to Beyond Yoga, buy the outfit. For me, I'll say, let's just get vulnerable. The thing that's really getting me these days at almost 42 is skincare. The wrinkles are just coming. Things are just like sagging that never sagged before. I just feel old. Gray hairs are popping in. And so there's something there about like the loss of youth that is really sad to me. Like there's a mourning aspect, but there's also a knee-jerk reaction to just go buy the whatever to turn back the clock. And so I'm hoping that I get to a point where I just don't care anymore. But at the moment, I really care. And so that's again where the pause comes in. The pause is thinking, okay, I could buy the thing or I could get the injection and look better on the exterior. But on the inside, like, is it really changing anything? I'm still getting older. And so instead of spending money and spending time and spending effort and energy trying to fix a perceived external flaw, Like my main goal is to get to a point where I'm able to just go with the flow and to just, be 42 and have what a 42-year-old's face is supposed to look like and, feel good in that skin. I'm not there yet. And I don't think the skincare industry wants me to ever get there, right? Because then they don't make money. But that's a long way of saying we've all got our flaws, and those flaws are exaggerated by marketing companies because they want our money.
Yeah. If we don't feel less than or like something's wrong, we're by nature not going to look for a solution, which tends to come in the form of a material possession. Thank you for sharing that. And that's just the reality. Like, I teared up when you said, like, that makes me sad. Things look different. And I'm like, I'm 38. And gosh, I think that number is getting younger. There are people in their 20s who are like, I'm getting sad. I'm sad about getting older. And I'm like, gosh, my life continues to get better each year because I'm getting older. And it's just like so many of us culturally and within assign this moral value to our countertops and our homes. So do we to our external look. So it's like, it's so much, and it creates so much mental clutter. And I do think it's an ongoing process to reckon with that, understand where it's coming from. Do I believe in this? If I move to Europe or Africa or other places in the world, would I feel this way about myself? I am very small busted, and I always have been. And I feel like from that side of things, I've always felt like not happy with that until maybe like 10 years ago when I had my kiddos. I was like, why do I even care? I can work out and not get a black eye because I don't a big bust. And so I've tried to lean into the benefits of being small busted throughout the years. But as silly as it sounds, reckoning with that has left me 10 years later, even on a daily basis, not having to have that back and forth mental burden of should I or shouldn't I? Should I do this to feel better or look like these other people, or shouldn't I? And I think with the elevation of AI and quote unquote perfection, our standards that we're being expected to look like are only getting more and more extreme. I'm not sure if you've seen that on your side of things, but I feel like there's going to be this rallying cry of women and people all across the world. Like, we are tired of being judged. We are tired of being judged by our homes and by our looks. And aging, as cliche as it sounds, is such a beautiful thing. Like, how blessed are we to get older?
Yeah. And to just take that maybe a step further is that, well, I don't know if, I don't know. I could spend thousands of dollars to fix, every single thing that I think is wrong with me. And I could even spend tens of thousands of dollars and frame it as, oh, but it's designed, doing so is to make me feel good. I hear that all the time.
Yes,
like, I'm buying this X, Y, or Z because how I feel is most important and I'm going to invest in me. But I think actually that a better way of investing in me is healing those parts inside of me, way deep down inside that have been broken by life, by our culture, that have been, split apart by those beautiful images of 5'10" women frolicking on the beach in their new outfit. It's not about layering more on externally, even though that's what our culture wants us to do, because again, then the CEOs make money. It's about, number one, pausing. Number two, sitting with those really uncomfortable feelings that we all have. We all have them deep inside, even that model. Like, even that model has it.
Yes.
And working to heal them. I mean, mine are not healed. I don't know if they'll ever be. But I think that trying to heal them is a way better use of my time than injecting stuff in my face.
Yeah. And again, no judgment. And here's the thing too. I've also been trying to reckon with myself. Like, I'm so embarrassed to say, but also I'm going to be honest. I bought this like face yoga class, and it was like how to help wrinkles and jowls. Cause like I saw a picture from my profile the other day and I was like, what? That's a new like thing happening under my chin. And so again, I think a lot of us can still justify like, oh, well, it's natural. It's a natural way to get started. But really, is it any different than me going to a plastic surgeon and saying, can you fix this? If really what the result is, I hope it's the same. It's cheaper and it's quote unquote more natural. So I can be like, well, it's more aligned with my core values. But really, if I didn't care what my profile looked like because of all the people online saying this is what your profile should look like till your end of days, I wouldn't care, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just it's a means to the same end, but in a different way. And I think it's funny to kind of see my brain try and I keep using the word reckon with that and like ruminate on that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so did face yoga work for your perceived
Let me turn to the side. No, you tell me. I haven't started it. I just got it. And then I think again, I was like, I really want to just sit on this and reflect on why I got it to begin with. And I think a lot of us too, as women, again, going to the confidence piece. So I want to feel better. Yes. Whether I go to a plastic surgeon or buy face yoga, it's so that I can feel better and feel more confident. But then just like the good enough home can help us set that benchmark and standard for ourselves. Like you and I talked about when I was on your show, maybe it's like, can I just be good enough? Like, do I have to be perfect? I think that's an ever ongoing process. And when is enough enough? When is enough youth enough? So if I quote unquote fix my double chin or jowl or whatever it's called, what about this? What about these crow's feet? Which by the way, I think are the most beautiful thing in the world. All the laughter and like smile, they're called like smile lines. I'm like, hello, this is a beautiful thing. I don't know, that's just me personally. Ask me when I'm 55 if I feel the same about them. But I think it's important to just zoom out sometimes and figure out what you really want and what you're trying to achieve. And if it is through the means of something, great. But understand that when that changes again, you're going to be right back at square one unless you do some of that inner work, which is just our realities.
Yeah. I really appreciate your mention of like the good enough home in your new book, Katy. And I think that we can apply the concept of good enough to all aspects of life, especially to our flaws. And there's a lot of freedom that comes with embracing good enough. And good enough is different, like for everybody.
Yes.
But determining what is good enough for you, like what is good enough that allows you to feel good in your home or your skin or your wardrobe or you're this or you're that, determining what's good enough and then letting that be your North Star,
yes,
as opposed to letting the ads be your North Star because it's unattainable. Frankly, like that's unattainable for most of us. And even when you attain it, then the goalpost is going to be moved and then there's something new to strive for. So good That's enough right. is where it's at.
And when is enough with our physical items and when is enough with our external looks, Mm-hmm. And that can look different for everyone. That's the beauty of it. I'm not here to tell people what to do or give rules, and neither you or, shame anyone for their decisions, let alone myself. But I just think, again, let's noodle on that. Let's noodle on that some more. So I want to talk about your book too before we head out. Sustainable Minimalism, Embrace Zero Waste, Build Sustainability Habits that Last, and Become a Minimalist Without Sacrificing the Planet. So I'm going to link this in the show notes. Could you talk to what my listeners might read in your book and also where they can find you too?
Yes, thank you for that opportunity. So my book is a few years old, came out in 2021. It's a pandemic baby. My book is about decluttering. Yes, that's the first part of the book, but it's more about getting to a place of intentionality with our buying habits, because I believe that intentionality is, the root of our clutter problems, our less than problems, our environmental problems. If we can get to a place of acting with intention and buying with intention and living our lives with intention, a lot of these marketing messages that we talked about today, Katy, they lose their weight. They don't become, impossible to ignore, but it becomes a lot easier to see through the veil. It's like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Like, we're being sold promises and ideas and a feeling of betterness. But behind the veil, it's again, a lot of these things that are marketed to us do not live up to the hype. And I'm guessing, a lot of your listeners would agree with that. How many of us have bought something or many things that we thought were going to solve this, that, or the other problem and didn't? And then we're stuck with this item that we somehow have to do something with to move it on out of our house. Like, let's stop that cycle. Hello, cat. Let's stop that cycle by buying with more intention on the outset. The planet will thank us. Our wallets will thank us. Our homes will thank us. So
future generations.
Yeah. So that's what my book is about. And my podcast is called Sustainable Minimalist. I'm on Instagram, quite active over there at Sustainable Minimalists. And thank you.
So before we wrap, I got 2 questions I ask every listener as a fun little wrap up. Number 1 is, if you could declutter one thing from your life forever, no effort required, what would it be?
Let me think for that. So if I could declutter one thing from my life forever.
It doesn't have to be physical.
Okay. I'm going to say I would love to declutter the propensity to solve everybody's problems all the time.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know that's like kind of strange, but I feel like in all the different hats that I wear professionally, familiarly, like in my family, friendship wise, I seem to be the person who, I'm the bottom line. Like, everybody passes the buck to me all the time because I've taught people that I'll just get it done, or I'll fix it, or I'll do it. Yeah. I would love to be a person who's not the fixer. I'd like to be somebody just once in a while who has, I can pass it to somebody. I can pass the buck to somebody else, if that makes sense.
Oh, I know so many people are nodding their head right now. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Okay. So on the flip side of that, what's one thing in your home you would never let go of, and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. So this will be a physical thing. Every year at the end of the year, I make a photo book of family memories from the year. When I was a kid growing up in the 90s, it was, a photo album.
Yes.
Well, these days I make really fancy, like, digital photo scrapbooks, and we print them out. We now have 11 of them. And they're not just, photo books. They're my children's childhoods. They are the memories that, we make within my 4 walls every darn day. And so I would never, like, in going back to your idea of making your home a happy place, like, that's the purpose, right? Like, making our homes the foundation, the place in which all these happy memories that we then encapsulate into books take place. So I would never replace the books, but the photo books, but I would also never replace, like, the happiness that I'm trying to create in our homes. And it's not like, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, but I am trying.
I love that. I so thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I really think our listeners will take a lot away today, if not to declutter some of that mental expectation, pressure, being the problem solver for everyone in our lives, whatever it is. I think it will resonate with so many. So thank you, Stephanie, for being on the show today and sharing your nuggets with us.
Oh, thank you, Katy. I had a blast. Thank you.